I had been with Leo Vance for 3 years, and in all that time, the subject of marriage was one he skillfully avoided. It wasn't long before he met my stepsister Chloe, and fell for her almost instantly. He started pursuing her with an intensity that was both public and unapologetic. This time, something in me was different. There were no tears, no silent vigils by the phone, hoping he would tire of his new infatuation and return to me. Instead, I methodically gathered all the gifts he had ever given me. I took the wedding dress I had purchased in secret, full of naive hope, and cut it into unrecognizable strips of fabric. On the day of his birthday party, I walked out of the Vance family home for the last time, carrying only my own things. Just as I was about to step onto the plane, my phone buzzed with a message from him. "Why aren't you here yet? Everyone's waiting for you." A small, tired smile touched my lips. I didn't bother to reply. I simply blocked his number and every other connection we shared. He had no idea that 2 weeks prior, I had said yes to a proposal from Ethan Reed, a man I knew from my university days. As soon as my flight landed in a new city, we were going to get married. "Ethan, I'm ready," I had said, my voice steady as I looked at my own pale reflection in the mirror. It turned out that making a life-altering decision wasn't the agonizing process I had always imagined it to be. "Clara, will you marry me?" Ethan's deep, reassuring voice had come through the phone, and despite my resolve, my heart clenched and tears began to fall. I nodded at my own reflection, a silent affirmation. "Yes." A soft exhale on his end. "Clara, do you know I've been waiting for this day since we were in college?" He confessed, and I saw in the mirror that the corners of my own mouth were lifting into a genuine smile. "Just wait for me for 2 more weeks," I whispered. "I need to sort everything out here." He simply said, "Okay, Clara, I'll be waiting for you." Shortly after we ended the call, the door to my bedroom was pushed open without a knock. It was my father. "Clara," he began, clearing his throat with a note of discomfort. "Your sister isn't feeling well. Your room gets the best sunlight. I was thinking, why don't you two switch rooms for a while?" I didn't say anything. My gaze drifted past him to where my stepmother and Chloe were standing in the hallway. My stepmother made a show of protesting. "Oh, there's no need to trouble Clara, dear." Chloe added in her soft, breathy voice, "Yes, Dad, I'm perfectly fine. Please don't make Clara upset just for me." My father's face hardened. "What do you mean, trouble? You're my daughter, too," he insisted, then turned his stern gaze on me. "Clara, you're the older sister. You should be more considerate." I looked directly at him, my biological father, and I expected to feel a wave of devastation, the familiar sting of knowing he loved a girl with no blood relation to him more than me. But I felt nothing. Not a single tear threatened to fall. I even managed a small smile and a nod. "Of course, I'll switch." I only had 2 weeks left in this house. It didn't matter which room I slept in. My father seemed pleased by my compliance, and my stepmother offered a contented smile. After they left, Chloe lingered. "Clara, let me help you pack," she offered, her voice sweet. But as her eyes scanned the room, I saw the undeniable glint of triumph. "I really didn't think Dad would actually make you switch," she said, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "Are you angry with me, Clara? After all, I didn't just take Leo from you. Now I've taken the room you've lived in for 10 years. I ignored her and turned to retrieve my suitcase from the closet. Suddenly, a sharp cry of "ow" made me turn back. Chloe was on the floor, clutching her arm where it had collided with the corner of my desk. A dark bruise was already starting to form. "Clara Evans, what are you doing?" I hadn't even heard Leo come upstairs, but there he was, his expression darkening as he took in the scene. He had arrived at the perfect moment to see Chloe fall. He rushed to her side, carefully lifting her into his arms. "Leo, I'm fine." "It wasn't Clara's fault," Chloe said through her tears, forcing a pained smile. "It doesn't even hurt." "How can it not hurt?" Leo murmured, his gaze fixed on the bruise marring her pale skin. His eyes were full of tender concern. But when he looked up at me, that softness vanished, replaced by a cold, sharp anger. "Clara Evans, if you have a problem, you take it out on me. Don't you dare touch Chloe. Her life has been hard enough. She's not like you, born with every advantage, pampered and protected from any real hardship." I had thought I was immune to him, that my heart had finally built a wall he couldn't breach. I truly believed I wouldn't cry over Leo Vance again. But I was just an ordinary person, not made of iron or steel. The man I had loved for 3 years, the boy I had grown up alongside, had fallen for another girl in a matter of days and was now painting me as some kind of monster. I didn't want to cry. I wanted to laugh at the absurdity of it, but my eyes filled with tears against my will. Leo Vance, I said, my voice trembling slightly. We've known each other for so long. Do you honestly not know what kind of person I am? His brow furrowed, and for a fleeting second, his expression wavered. But then Chloe began to sob again. Leo, please don't fight with Clara because of me. It's my fault. She has every right to be angry. His gaze hardened once more, turning to absolute ice. You're just jealous, he said, his voice low and cutting. Jealous that I love Chloe, that I treat her well, that everyone cares about her. Clara Evans, you've changed. You've become twisted. He finished, then turned and carried Chloe away. I watched them go, and as their figures disappeared down the hall, I realized my tears had already dried. Perhaps that was for the best. I had shed enough tears for Leo. From this day forward, he would no longer have the power to break my heart. That same evening, the group chat we shared with our mutual friends lit up with activity. Leo had posted a message. Suddenly feel like getting married. What should I do? The chat immediately erupted. Leo, are you finally going to marry Clara? Time to start calling her Mrs. Vance. Congratulations, Mrs. Vance. When's the big day? The messages flooded in. I was about to type a reply to clarify that I was not the bride-to-be and that his sudden marital urges had nothing to do with me, but he posted again before I could. What are you all talking about? I never said the person I wanted to marry was Clara Evans. He then added Chloe to the group and tagged everyone. Look closely, this is your real future Mrs. Vance. The chat, once buzzing with excitement, fell completely silent. After a long, awkward pause, Leo broke the silence again. What's wrong? Say hello to your new sister-in-law. One by one, a few people typed out hesitant greetings to Chloe. I considered my options for a moment, then sent a single message. Congratulations. Wishing you both a long and happy life together. Immediately after sending it, I quietly left the group. Less than a minute later, my phone was ringing. It was Leo. Clara Evans, get over here right now. You know the place, our old spot. Why? What for? I asked, my voice flat. To apologize to Chloe, he said, his tone cold and demanding. Why should I? You abruptly left the group chat? Do you have any idea how that makes her look in front of our friends? I don't want people talking badly about Chloe. I'm the one who likes her. I want to give her a proper place in my life. She's innocent in all of this. She shouldn't be branded a homewrecker because you acted on impulse. I thought I was past letting him affect me, but a surge of anger made my chest ache. My fingers trembled as I held the phone. Leo Vance, I said, my voice shaking. How can you treat me this way? What gives you the right to bully me like this? You were the one who was unfaithful. I did nothing wrong. I even congratulated you. Wasn't that enough? I fought to keep my voice steady, but a sob broke through. There was a long silence on his end before he finally spoke. Clara Evans, I'll let it go this time, but I hope you remember that Chloe is innocent. Don't take your anger out on her. Don't hurt her. The call ended. I sat on the cold floor of my room, my body trembling. On the nightstand, a photograph of my mother smiled warmly at me. And then the tears came, a sudden, overwhelming flood. I grabbed the framed photo, hugging it to my chest, pressing my face against the cool glass as I wept. It felt as if the woman in the photograph was grieving with me, her heart breaking for her daughter. I knew I couldn't keep crying. I didn't want my mother, wherever she was, to see me like this. As soon as her Memorial Day passed, I would take the few things she had left me and leave this city forever. Chloe moved into my old room. I didn't take hers, instead finding an unused guest room to stay in. The blanket the housekeeper provided was thin and smelled of dampness. I pulled it over myself and tried to sleep. It was only for a few more days. I just had to endure it a little longer, and then it would all be over. But the next morning, when I went downstairs, I found that the small altar in the side hall where my mother's photo and daily offerings were kept had been completely desecrated. Her photograph was on the floor, the glass of the frame shattered, the image itself scuffed with dirty footprints. The offerings were scattered, and Chloe's small dog was chewing on them. Chloe herself stood nearby, clapping her hands and laughing. For a moment, I stood frozen as all the blood rushed to my head. Every ounce of composure, every rational thought simply vanished. I acted without thinking, grabbing a nearby vase and throwing it in the dog's direction. It yelped and scurried away. Chloe let out a piercing shriek as a shard of the shattered vase grazed her arm. "Clara! What are you doing? How could you attack your own sister?" My father's voice boomed. Chloe ran to him, crying, "Dad, help me! Clara tried to kill me." "You've gone too far, Clara," my father yelled. "Can't you see what happened?" I screamed back, my body shaking with a mixture of grief and rage. Tears streamed down my face. "She ruined Mom's memorial. She threw her photo on the floor." My father glanced at the mess, his brow furrowing in annoyance. "Even so, you should not have resorted to violence. You hurt someone, Clara." "Dad," Chloe whispered, her face pale. "My dog accidentally knocked everything over. I was going to apologize to Clara, but she came downstairs and just attacked me. She threw a vase at me." She held up her bleeding arm for him to see. Maybe Mom and I should just move out." "It's just a dog. It doesn't know any better," Dad said, then turned his glare back to me. "But you, Clara, don't you know any better?" He suddenly raised his hand and slapped me hard across the face. The shock of it was so complete that I didn't even move. He seemed startled by his own action for a moment, but he didn't apologize. He simply turned and led Chloe away to tend to her wound. I watched them go, the burning sting on my cheek a dull throb. As the tears finally came, I let out a bitter laugh. I understood completely now. There was no place for me here. In the middle of the night, I was jolted awake by screams. My door was kicked open and my stepmother rushed in, crying hysterically. Before I could even process what was happening, she slapped me. "How could you be so cruel? It wasn't enough to hurt her during the day. Now you want to kill her?" She collapsed into my father's arms, sobbing. "She knows Chloe is allergic to peaches. She deliberately had someone pour peach juice all over her bed. She's trying to murder our daughter." "It's okay now. Don't cry," my father soothed her, his gaze on me filled with a cold, suppressed anger. "Luckily, Chloe took her medicine in time. She'll be fine." He looked at me. "Clara, you have truly disappointed me. I want you to move out tomorrow. Your presence in this house is causing nothing but chaos." My stepmother's sobs immediately quieted. I looked at the man before me, the person who was once my closest confidant, my protector, my father. He used to love me more than anything, but that had all changed. I felt like a character in a story whose fate had been rewritten, leaving me with nothing. I had fought it, resisted it, cried over it, but now I was finally awake. The bond between us was irrevocably broken. The day I moved out, my father told me, "After your mother's memorial is over, I'll come and bring you back home." I didn't reply. After they were gone, I carefully burned every photograph I had of myself with Leo and then every photograph of myself with my father. Finally, I took out the wedding dress. I had bought it 3 years ago, right after Leo first told me he loved me. It was the dress of my childhood dreams, the one that made me feel like a princess. Now, I destroyed it with my own 2 hands. Next were the gifts from Leo. There were small, thoughtful trinkets and expensive pieces of jewelry. I set aside the valuable items and asked my best friend Maya to hold on to them. After I was gone, she would return them to Leo. We would truly owe each other nothing. The rest, the little things meant to bring a smile, I packed into a box to be thrown away without a second thought. I had once treasured them, but now I felt nothing. Lastly, I wrapped my mother's photograph carefully and placed it in my suitcase. Without a backward glance, I left the house I had called home for 10 years. Just as I stepped out the front gate, Leo's car pulled up. I didn't look at it, but it stopped beside me anyway. The back window rolled down, revealing his handsome face. My eyes swept past him as I kept walking. "Clara Evans," he called out, his voice sounding slightly off. Where are you going, dragging 2 large suitcases? I was already having trouble walking and had no desire to make small talk with him. I kept moving. He suddenly got out of the car. Do you want me to have my driver give you a ride? No, thank you, I said, sidestepping his hand as he reached for me. He grabbed my wrist. Clara Evans, why are you being so stubborn? If you just cried a little like you used to, maybe I'd feel sorry for you again. I pulled my hand free and looked at him, my expression calm. Leo Vance, there's no need for that anymore. There's no need for me to cry and no need for you to feel sorry for me. I'm tired. I'm done. Fine, do whatever you want, he said, a strange twist to his lips. But I could see the disbelief in his eyes. He was so accustomed to me waiting for him, forgiving him no matter what he did. As I walked away, I heard Chloe's sweet voice. Leo, you're here. She ran to him, linking her arm through his. Are your allergies better? He asked, his voice softening as he brushed a strand of hair from her face. She smiled up at him. Much better. She gave his arm a little shake. Leo, don't be angry with Clara. It's my fault for being so frail. If my health wasn't so poor, Dad wouldn't have asked us to switch rooms, and she wouldn't have gotten so upset. How is any of this your fault? He said, his tone protective as he shot a look in my direction. He pulled her into his arms. Let's go inside. We don't want you getting sick again. I watched them walk into the house, their forms pressed closely together. My heart felt like a calm, still lake. There wasn't a single ripple. After my mother's Memorial Day, my father never came for me. And just like that, it was Leo's birthday. In previous years, I would have spent weeks planning, but this time, I had done nothing. At 5 in the evening, I was on my way to the airport. My phone buzzed with messages. It was my father. Why aren't you here yet? Your aunt and I have arrived. Clara, you need to be gracious. Leo will be family soon. If you don't show up, people will talk. I found it almost funny. I didn't reply, just blocked his number. As I was about to board, a message from Leo came through. Why aren't you here yet? Everyone's waiting for you. I smiled faintly, then blocked him on every platform and walked through the boarding gate without looking back. At 7 o'clock, the party hadn't officially started. Leo sat on a sofa, flipping a lighter in his hand, his expression calm, but his eyes kept flicking to the time and then to his phone. Leo, Chloe said, tugging his sleeve, it's getting late. Everyone is hungry. He looked at her and smiled, but it was a smile that didn't reach his eyes. You're hungry? He asked, pinching her cheek. I'm starving, she giggled, leaning against him. He caught a faint, familiar scent. He paused. What perfume is that? He asked. Oh, just one I found on the vanity at home, she said. Does it smell bad? He shook his head. No, it's nice. It was the same perfume Clara always wore. He couldn't place the name. Later, while everyone was celebrating, Leo stepped out onto the terrace for a cigarette. His phone was silent. He remembered Clara promising she would never miss his birthday. She had broken her promise so quickly. A cold sneer formed on his lips. Clara Evans, are you dead or something? Can't even reply to a message. He hit send. The message failed. A bold red exclamation mark appeared next to it. She had blocked him. He tried to call, but the line was dead. He stood staring into the darkness, a strange anger building in his chest. He was the one who had ended things. He was the one who found someone new. This was what he wanted, wasn't it? Yet it didn't feel as satisfying as he had imagined. After arriving in the new city, I didn't call Ethan immediately. I met up with my best friend from college, Maya. I wanted to tell her my secret, but I wasn't sure how. As it turned out, I ran into Ethan at the welcome dinner Maya had arranged for me. He was standing at the entrance to the private room, dressed in a black business suit, his coat draped over his arm. He looked even more handsome and composed than I remembered from our university days. He was no longer just a former classmate. He was my fiancé. My face grew warm, and I looked down, my hands suddenly clammy. Maya, however, was thrilled. Ethan, what are you doing here? I had a business dinner nearby, he said, his eyes finding mine across the room. He paused for a beat before continuing. I hope you all don't mind if I join you. Of course, no one minded. He was warmly welcomed and took the empty seat directly across from me. I kept my head down, not daring to look at him, but he didn't let me hide. Clara, it's been a while, he said with a smile. My head snapped up, my face flushing as I met his calm gaze. I managed to stand and raise my glass. It has been a long time, Ethan. We clinked glasses and he held my gaze as he took a sip. As I sat back down, Maya nudged me. Something is definitely going on between you two, she whispered. His eyes haven't left you since he walked in. I bit my lip, trying to calm my racing heart. We hadn't seen each other in years, and our only recent contact had been a few phone calls. We hadn't even held hands. Later, one of the other women at the table asked, Ethan, do you have a girlfriend? Maya chimed in. If you're single, what about our Clara? She's gorgeous and smart. You two would be perfect together. I was so embarrassed I could feel the heat on my face. Ethan's calm voice cut through the teasing. That's enough, Maya. Don't make fun of Clara. She's a bit shy. He smiled but didn't deny her suggestion. I snuck a peek at him and he was looking right at me. I quickly looked down again as my phone lit up with a message from him. Wait for me after dinner. I'll drive you. My heart pounded. When the dinner was over, I waited for him in the hotel lobby. That's when I got a call from one of Leo's friends. Clara, what have you been up to? We haven't seen you. Just busy with personal things, I said politely. Listen, don't hang up. It's about Leo. He's in a really bad mood, drinking a lot. He might end up in the hospital again. You should call Chloe. The voice sighed. He kicked Chloe out. We all know he still has feelings for you, Clara. He regrets everything. Stop, I said, my voice flat. Leo and I are over. His life has nothing to do with me. Please don't call me about him again. Just as I finished, I heard a commotion, like the phone was being snatched away. I was about to hang up when Leo's voice came through, arrogant and cold. Clara, it wasn't my idea to call you. Then I'm hanging up, I said. Clara, he said again, his voice different this time, heavy with something I hadn't heard before. If this had happened in the past, I might have softened, but now his problems were not mine. I ended the call and then proceeded to delete the numbers of all his close friends from my phone. Clara. I looked up to see Ethan standing nearby, bathed in the warm light of the lobby. He started walking towards me, his steps a little unsteady. Are you okay? Did you drink too much? I asked, rushing to support him. He nodded. Just a bit of a headache. We staggered towards his car, and as we reached it, I lost my balance and fell into his arms. The scent of wine mixed with his familiar sandalwood cologne. Flustered, I tried to pull away, but he held me tight. Clara, just let me hold you for a moment. I'm not dreaming, am I? You're really here. He cupped my face, his breath warm against my skin. In his tipsy eyes, I saw deep, complicated sorrow. Ethan, you're not dreaming. It's me. Before I could say more, his lips gently pressed against mine. It was a soft, tentative kiss. He pulled away almost immediately, seeing the surprise in my eyes. He took my hand and helped me into the car. He raised the divider, creating a private space that only made me more nervous. But then he let go of my hand. Don't be afraid, Clara. I'll wait patiently until our wedding night. I lowered my head, my face burning. After a moment, I looked at him and said softly, Okay. Leo Vance was drunk again. He couldn't figure out why he felt so empty. Maybe it was realizing that he had grown bored of Chloe, or maybe he was starting to miss Clara's quiet, gentle presence. He had allowed his friends to call her, but her refusal had angered him. She had just hung up. She didn't come. She didn't care that he was drinking himself sick. For the first time, he felt a flicker of panic. He tried to reassure himself. She had loved him for so long. She must still be hurting, resentful. She couldn't have just let go. He didn't believe it. His friends tried to stop him from drinking. The only person you ever listened to was Clara, one of them said. If she were here, you'd be home by now. His friend pulled out his phone. I'm calling her. But the call didn't go through. Everyone tried. She had blocked all of them. The room fell silent. My cousin saw her coming back from the cemetery on her mother's Memorial Day, another friend said quietly. Her eyes were so swollen from crying. Leo remembered the day she moved out, dragging 2 large suitcases from the home that should have been hers. He had been so easily swayed by Chloe's youth, and he had abandoned Clara without a second thought. All he could see was the final look she gave him, completely emotionless, as if he were a stranger. He stood up abruptly, intending to leave, just as the door opened and Chloe walked in. "Leo," she said softly, "why are you drinking so much?" As she took his arm, he caught that familiar perfume again. His heart jolted. "What is that smell?" he asked. "The same perfume as last time," she said, smiling. "If you like it, I'll wear it every day." His face suddenly changed. He shoved her away. "Leo!" she cried out, stunned. He looked at her, his voice calm but filled with a terrifying rage. He raised his hand and slapped her hard across the face. "You hit me," she whispered, tears welling in her eyes. He sneered. "Aren't you allergic to peaches, Chloe? Didn't you tell me Clara tried to kill you with peach juice?" He stepped forward and grabbed her by the collar. "Did you forget? You're wearing Clara's favorite perfume, the one I bought for her. The middle notes are white peach and gardenia. How is it that you've never had a reaction while wearing it every single day?" Chloe's face went white. She trembled, speechless. "It was all a lie," he said, his voice flat with disgust. He let her go and she collapsed to the floor. "I must have been blind to fall for someone like you." He turned and slammed the door. His driver sped to Clara's old apartment building. The lights were off. He rang the bell, knocked until his knuckles ached, but she never answered. A neighbor finally called building management, and that's when Leo learned that Clara had moved out long ago and had already put the unit up for sale. Where had she gone? There was only one terrifying thought in his mind. He had lost her. He had lost her forever. The truth about Chloe and her mother's manipulations came to light. The housekeepers at the Evans estate confirmed Clara's story. The day Chloe and her mother were thrown out, disgraced, and humiliated, Leo stood in the garden, staring at a bed of withered crabapple blossoms. Mr. Evans had tried to contact me, but I hung up every time. I had taken my mother's inheritance and left, leaving the Evans family business an empty shell. As the 2 women were being thrown out, screaming and crying, Lily clung to the gate. "Leo, you can't do this to me. I'm pregnant. The baby is yours." He felt nothing but revulsion. "I never touched her," he said to Mr. Evans, whose hair seemed to have turned white overnight. "I swear it." "That's good," Mr. Evans breathed, looking old and broken. The 2 men stood in silence, staring at the dead flowers. They were my mother's favorite. I had cared for them after she passed. Now, with me gone, they had withered. "I failed Clara," Mr. Evans choked out. "I failed her mother. Do you think she'll ever come home?" Leo didn't know how to answer. He knew the truth, but he couldn't bring himself to say it. They both knew what kind of person I was, and they had both treated me with inexplicable cruelty. My wedding to Ethan took place the following spring. Maya was my only bridesmaid. I didn't invite anyone from my old life, but somehow the news traveled. On the day of the wedding, both my father and Leo showed up. Ethan came to me while I was getting my makeup done. "How do you want to handle this?" he asked. I looked at our reflection in the mirror. In my wedding dress, beside him in his tuxedo, we looked right. "I don't want to see them," I said softly. He nodded. "Okay, I'll have someone ask them to leave." When I stepped onto the stage, bouquet in hand, Ethan was already reaching for me. Our hands clasped, and surrounded by the joyful sounds of our friends and family, he leaned down and kissed me, long and deep. When he finally pulled away, he slid the ring onto my finger and whispered, "Clara, I love you. I have for a very long time, and I will for a very long time to come." I looked up at him, my eyes shimmering with happy tears. "Ethan, I'll try my best to love you too, to love you well." The wedding was beautiful. My father and Leo never set foot inside. Midway through the ceremony, my father suffered a heart attack and was rushed to the hospital. He survived but remained in a coma. Leo stayed until the very end, watching from a distance. He saw the photos Maya posted. He saw the way Ethan looked at me with a devotion he recognized as his own past self. He saw Ethan carry me away at the end of the night, presumably to our new home, the one with the garden full of crabapple blossoms that were now in full bloom. Late that night, on the drive back to his empty life, Leo found himself on a deserted highway bridge. He pressed the accelerator to the floor, pushing the car faster and faster. Then, he sharply turned the wheel and closed his eyes. After the crash, everything went silent. The crabapple trees would bloom again next spring, but they would be blooming in someone else's garden,